Welcome back to another explainer. Now, if you work in enterprise planning, you already know that keeping your financial or operational data organized, well, it can honestly feel like trying to herd cats, right? It's chaotic, it's highly manual, and it's practically begging for human error. So today, we're taking on a core mission. We are going to completely demystify SAP Analytics Cloud Data Actions, or SAC for short. We're going to look at how to transform all that messy enterprise planning into a streamlined, automated process, essentially turning your raw data into a highly tuned engine. Let me ask you something. Do you ever find yourself making the exact same types of changes to your model data every single planning cycle? You know the feeling. You hit the end of the month or the end of the quarter, and there you are, manually keying in adjustments, distributing values, copying actuals over to forecasts, just over and over again. It's frustrating, it's incredibly tedious, and let's be real, it is definitely not the best use of your brain power. Really, it's the ultimate pain point for anyone in the planning space.
And that brings us to the paradigm shift we're exploring today. The old way of doing things, that's defined by manual, repetitive data changes every cycle. It relies heavily on just sheer human willpower to drag you through the month-end close. But the new way, that is all about engineering a centralized, repeatable, mechanical solution. By utilizing data actions, you build out a process just once, centrally, and then you let multiple users run or schedule it safely. It's basically about leveling up from being a data entry clerk to becoming a true data architect.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the anatomy of data actions. Then we'll explore flexibility through parameters. Third, we're going to dive into exploring action step types. And finally, we'll wrap up with optimizing your SAC journey. All right, let's get into it. Section 1, Anatomy of Data Actions, Building the Factory. So first things first, a data action is definitely not just a simple macro. Actually, it's a set of structured planning activities that enable you to define repeatable steps centrally for multiple users to either run or schedule. The absolutely crucial words to remember here are structured and centrally. You're essentially building a secure container of logic, and anyone with the right permissions can execute it, knowing for sure that it's going to perform the exact same operations every single time, without any manual deviation. Okay, so how do we actually build one of these from a blank slate? Well, it's a strict chronological implementation. Step 1, you provide a name and an optional description. Now, don't skip the description. This is crucial so your colleagues can actually figure out what the process is later on. Step 2, define your model. This dictates which model acts as the source, the target, or maybe even both. Step 3, add parameters. We're going to talk about those magical little variables in just a second. And step 4, add your specific steps in sequence. Each new step calculates based on the results of the one right before it, so you're literally building out an assembly line from left to right.
Now, here is a foundational rule you've got to keep in mind. A data action runs as a single transaction. When you hit that run button, this isn't some casual piece-by-piece execution. No way. It is an all-or-nothing engine firing up at once. The database treats everything inside that data action as one unified, unbroken operation. And because it operates as a single transaction, we have to issue a pretty serious warning here. If your data action has multiple steps, and just one individual step fails when the action is running, well, all previous steps roll back. Literally everything. If you need to revert changes, you revert all of the steps. This just highlights how absolutely vital flawless step sequencing is. You really can't have a broken cog in the middle of your machine, or the entire factory floor shuts down and resets. Moving right along. Section 2, Flexibility through Parameters, the operators. Now that we've got the rigid structure of our factory down, how do we actually make it adaptable? Well, the answer lies in parameters. Think of parameters as the human operators that adjust the machinery. To make your data actions super easy to reuse, parameters let your users change key elements on the fly. Now, by default, a target version parameter is actually added automatically to every data action. But the cool part is you can create your own. You can set up parameters for numeric values like shifting interest rates. You can prompt users to pick specific measures or dimension members. You can even set time hierarchy selections, which lets someone easily specify the start and end dates for a data operation. And here's the real so what of the parameter feature. Parameters can be copied and modified to speed up the process. So instead of starting from scratch every single time you need a new variable, you just copy an existing parameter, tweak the rules a bit, and deploy it. This directly saves you a ton of time, eliminates all that redundant setup, and guarantees that different departments can safely reuse your master data action just by punching in their specific parameters when they're prompted. All right, on to Section 3, Exploring Action Step Types, the assembly line. You have a massive arsenal of capabilities at your disposal here. You've got copy steps to move data within a single model, cross-model copy to bridge completely different planning models, allocation to distribute values based on specific drivers. You also have conversion steps to seamlessly copy values across different currencies. Fact deletion lets you safely zero out specific dimension entries. Embedded steps lets you nest existing actions. And for the really heavy lifting, advanced formulas let you build out complex visual or scripted logic. Seriously, it's an incredibly comprehensive toolkit. Let's slow down for a second and unpack the most common tool on the belt, the copy step. When you set this up, the default source is already defined based on your overall data action source, but you do need to apply filters, things like target versions or specific accounts, just to ensure only the right data is moving. Notice this default behavior though. Copied data naturally matches the distribution of the source data. However, if you want to, you can optionally aggregate that data to a specific member, like the unassigned member, so you can distribute it later. Finally, you set a copy rule for the time periods, deciding whether you want to politely append the new values or just completely overwrite the existing ones. Now, what happens when we look at more specialized steps? Let's compare cross-model copy steps with embedded data action steps. For a cross-model copy, the default model becomes the target, and you must explicitly specify a different model as your source. Crucially, you got to make sure all your dimensions and measures are perfectly mapped between the two so it can actually make the jump. In contrast, an embedded data action repurposes a flow you've already built, but it comes with a really strict structural requirement. It must be based on the exact same target model. So two very different ways to automate with two very specific rules of engagement. Once you master the basics, you unlock true advanced automation. Allocation steps let you define a source, a mathematical driver, and a target to handle complex distributions effortlessly. Fact deletion lets you selectively wipe data to zero without destroying your entire model structure, just by applying the right filters. Advanced formulas let you write custom scripting for math that goes way, way beyond basic steps. And what if you need to run multiple data actions that use totally different models in sequence? Well, you use multi-actions to orchestrate the entire symphony. Which brings us to our final section. Section 4, Optimizing Your SAC Journey, Expert Q&A. Building these structures is super powerful, but it definitely requires vision. As SACplans.com points out, a framework-driven approach combines deep SAP expertise with proven planning methodologies. It's not just about knowing which buttons to click. It's about architecture leadership. Think about it. If you build a data action poorly, you're really just automating your mistakes faster. Bringing in expert quality assurance ensures your implementations actually deliver improved forecast accuracy in the real world. And that's where specialized methodologies turn a basic setup into a truly agile business tool. The SAC Plan's advantage is that they act as an independent advisory platform spanning multiple domains. We're talking everything from financial planning and analysis to supply chain and workforce. They provide the practical guidance and hands-on delivery needed to ensure your data actions and your overall SAC architecture are perfectly aligned with SAP best practices. It's really about combining the ultimate software engine with the ultimate pit crew. Which brings us to our final thought. I want you to look at your current planning cycle. Are you ready to stop repeating the exact same manual changes every single month? Are you ready to step up and start engineering a fully automated enterprise planning engine that actually works for you instead of the other way around? The tools are all right there in SAP Analytics Cloud, just waiting to be assembled. It's time to build your factory. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.